on the road to WrestleMania, the longest road trip of the year, where every February WWE forces us to make a pit stop in a big plastic box before we can make it to the fame and glory of WrestleMania. But sometimes people get left behind. Sometimes you forget Grandpa in the loo of the service station and drive off, arriving at WrestleMania 6 weeks later with nary a Grandpa in sight. For Grandpa, their road trip may just end there, and sometimes you can't even remember what you've forgotten. In this case, sometimes those who compete in the Elimination Chamber are not particularly memorable, or they seem so out of place years later that looking back and seeing their name on Wikipedia makes you go, them? Surely not. I'm Tempest hailing from partsFUNknown, and these are 10 WWE stars you forgot competed in the Elimination Chamber. But before we get on with our list, make sure of course that you subscribe and enable notifications to always on so you never miss a fun list just like it. We have tons of Elimination Chamber lists over the last few years for you to check out right now, including the best and worst Elimination Chamber matches. Number 10, Vladimir Kozlov. At one point the most fearsome foreign heel in all of WWE, Vladimir Kozlov could have potentially walked into the 25th edition of WrestleMania as the WWE Champion. As crazy as that sounds, there was a chance it could have happened when Kozlov competed in the Elimination Chamber at No Way Out 2009. Thankfully for all involved, that didn't happen. Although for the sake of science, I am a little disappointed that we didn't get Vladimir Kozlov versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, simply to see if it would indeed be the slowest wrestling match in all of wrestling history. Despite still being undefeated in WWE, Kozlov was hardly a real world title contender, with his Survivor Series match against Triple H being many people's worst match of 2008. By the time we got to No Way Out, the bloom was thoroughly off this Ukrainian rose, and Kozlov was the second man eliminated, taking his first pin following The Undertaker's last ride, and making way for the remaining men to have one of the best Elimination Chamber matches in history. Number 9, Mike Knox. Sticking with No Way Out 2009, the two Elimination Chamber matches on the night are eerily similar. They were the two matches tied together by one of WWE's greatest show-long storylines, with Edge trading his gaudy spinner belt for a much bigger, much golder belt. They both had great performances from their final twos, and they both had an awful monster heel getting a bizarre one-off showing in a main event match. Whereas the WWE title chamber had Vladimir Kozlov, the World Heavyweight Championship chamber had the appallingly bland monster Mike Knox. Keeping the similarities going, just as Kozlov was the second man out in his match, Knox was also eliminated second after an appallingly bland showing. I wish I had more to say about this. There's just nothing to say about Mike Knox. He was a stack of white bread and water made sentient and manifested into human form with the sole purpose of killing smaller wrestlers in the most uninteresting way possible. At least his elimination is kinda cool, going for his Sister Abigail-esque finish on the smallest man in the match, Rey Mysterio, only for Chris Jericho to hit the code breaker and send him packing from the main event scene, never to set foot on the road to WrestleMania again. Number 8, Big Daddy V. The man that was Nelson Frazier Jr. was known by a few names during his time in WWE, whether it be Mabel, of the regular or king variety, Viscera, of the evil or sex variety, and finally, the least remembered Big Daddy V. He didn't have many career highlights during his final WWE run, and that certainly holds true for his lone appearance inside the Elimination Chamber at No Way Out 2008. Now, I don't want to tell you that Large Father 5 versus Edge wouldn't be a superb WrestleMania main event, but the man was not going to be the one to get the title shot at the World Heavyweight title on this night. While other forgettable chamber combatants, MVP and Finlay, also weren't likely to be half of the WrestleMania 24 main event, at least they both got memorable moments during their run, with Finlay running wild with his shillelagh and MVP getting thrown off a pod, but Big Daddy Viscera, he lumbered around, trudging through molasses before being the first man eliminated in a pretty not great match. Batista and The Undertaker were a highlight, but Big V sure wasn't. Number 7, Elias. I'll let you in on a little secret, gang. Sporkle is a great tool to help memorize useless wrestling knowledge, like who was in the Elimination Chamber match. Many of the names on this list make for rather difficult bits of wrestling trivia, but I don't know if there's one name that sticks out to me more as a, oh yeah, him, than Elias. Elias was a pretty popular character in early 2018 with his sing-song gimmick, but he does sort of stick out in this match for a WrestleMania 34 title shot at Universal Champion Brock Lesnar at Elimination Chamber. Among the candidates of John Cena, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, and also Miz, I suppose, Elias doesn't quite fit the lineup, and his performance in the chamber was hardly what was going to change that perception. He entered last and was eliminated second, merely becoming a name added added to the list of Braun Strowman's victims for the night. Number 6, Mickie James. From that very same show came the first ever Women's Elimination Chamber match for the Raw Women's Championship. In terms of chamber experience among the competitors, you have Fire and Desire and the Boss and Hug Connection, both of whom competed in this match, as well as the chamber to crown the inaugural Women's Tag Champions. You have Alexa Bliss, who won the thing, punching her ticket to WrestleMania, and then you have respected legend Mickie James. This is a pretty good representation of Mickie James' entire return to WWE. Loads of potential to do something huge, but never given much of a chance to actually do it. Mickie only competed in the Elimination Chamber match the one time, managing to eliminate Sonya Deville, but unfortunately for one of the greatest women's champions in WWE history, that was as far as she got. Sure, she didn't have to win the match and change the WrestleMania plans and stuff, but maybe I'm just cranky because I love Mickie James and I wanted more. Hashtag Mickie James deserved better. Number 5, Ted DiBiase Jr. Remember Ted DiBiase Jr.? Full stop. It is hard sometimes. And he was pitched to break the Undertaker streak at one point. Show me that timeline. By the time Elimination Chamber 2010 rolled around, the breakup of Legacy, aka Randy Orton and his two grunts, was imminent. And by imminent, I do mean being dragged out for no particular reason. The breakup all came to a head in the Elimination Chamber match where Ted DiBiase Jr. made his lone appearance. At the very least, little Ted managed to have a little moment for himself during his showing, as fellow Legacy grunt Cody Rhodes appeared and dropped a pipe into the ring, only for Ted to pick it up, accidentally hit Orton with it, but then very much not accidentally choose to pin and eliminate Orton from the match. Ted was eliminated less than 2 minutes later and never came this close to the WWE Championship again, but at the end of the day, when I see Ted Jr.'s name on the list of chamber participants, it just looks like a typo. Number 4, Kevin Nash. Not every Elimination Chamber match is a detour on the road to WrestleMania. In the days of yesteryear, the cage could come as a pit stop on any old road trip at any time of the year. Even your summer vacation to Phoenix, where Big Daddy Cool Kevin Nash tried, and I use the word tried loosely, to become World Heavyweight Champion. This match is remembered for a couple of things: Goldberg rampaging through the field of competitors and Triple H beating him. Also Triple H's worst ever wardrobe day, but that's beside the point. Check out our list of worst ever one-off ring gears. Before all of that, however, Kevin Nash was the first man eliminated, having taken a Sweet Chin Music before Gorg could ever get into the match. To be fair, I don't know that Kevin Nash in 2003 would be my first choice to get jackhammered in the Elimination Chamber. He didn't take this well, doing the classic big monster angry about getting eliminated first and lays everyone out with their finish on their way out to reset the match spot. Or the BMAAGEFALEOWTFOTWOTRTM spot for short. It's not shorter at all. This would be Nash's last match in WWE until the 2011 Royal Rumble, but not a match that most people will remember him for. Number 3, Christian. Other than being robbed of an Intercontinental Championship match with Big E, the last few months of Christian's WWE career were unfortunately pretty uneventful, and that extends to his lone appearance in the Elimination Chamber at the match's titular event in 2014. To be honest, this Elimination Chamber match isn't terribly memorable in general. It's fine, it's just the penultimate chapter in the seemingly never-ending story of Daniel Bryan loses LOL. A story that was about to culminate at WrestleMania a month later, but we sure didn't have faith that would be the case at the time. Christian was always a drastically underutilized talent in WWE, where his gimmick was often man who had the best match on every house show, and at least he could get a big spot and an elimination in this match, hitting a frog splash off a pod onto Sheamus before getting booted from the match a minute later. Christian could have been an excellent addition to many an Elimination Chamber match during his career, but he always found himself injured come time for the road to WrestleMania. Number 2, Samoa Joe. So much of Samoa Joe's WWE run feels like such a blur. After failing to win the WWE Championship from AJ Styles during the summer of 2018, which he absolutely should have, the bloom was unfortunately off the Samoa Rose. By the time we reached Elimination Chamber 2019 and the WWE title match, the focus had drastically shifted away from Joey Samoa. This might be the very best chamber match, and thankfully Joe is a big part of that, starting the match with an ROH callback sequence with Daniel Bryan as the first two entrants. That tickles my ROH fancy. But after that, Samosa Joseph gets dumped from the match first in about 15 minutes. This is a really stacked match with loads of fun moments, but a lot of them happen after Samoa Joe gets eliminated. All the Bryan and Kofi stuff, Kofi eliminating Randy Orton, this is the Kofi Mania Chamber match, and it is great, but not the main event performance Samoa Joe could have had. Not that this specific match should have been that, but you know, hashtag Samoa Joe deserved better. And number 1, Cody Rhodes. If you want to talk about the roads to WrestleMania, WrestleMania, the man leading the conversation right now is Cody Rhodes to WrestleMania himself. 2023 may be the year that Cody finally reaches the top of the mountain at WrestleMania, but he will have gotten there without needing to go through the Elimination Chamber. And if you aren't someone who knows every detail of WWE's trivia book back to front, you may not remember that Cody Rhodes has indeed competed in the Elimination Chamber before. And I hope you don't, considering if you do, then the title of this list would make me a liar, and lies make baby Jesus cry. The night was Elimination Chamber 2012, a rough night for the company without much positive to note, with the lone highlight being the incredibly goofy Santino Marella near win in the World Heavyweight Championship match. And it was in that match that Cody Rhodes made his one and only Chamber appearance, setting up his WrestleMania baby woo rivalry with the Big Show before being eliminated by Santino 20 seconds later. Cody seems like the kind of mid-2010s upper mid-card guy who would have slotted into a lot of these matches nicely, but nay, this is the only one. Considering his meteoric rise to WWE's main event scene, maybe, just maybe, Cody will have a more eventful road to WrestleMania with a few more pit stops in the years to come. And that's our list. If you want to see more fun lists just like it, make sure you click right here to see the top 10 rivals in the career of Chris Jericho. To WCW, to WWE, to New Japan, to AEW, it's time to take a look back at the best rivals to ever stand toe-to-toe with the Wizard Ocho Demogod. I'm Tempest hailing from partsFUNknown, and these are the 10 greatest rivals of Chris Jericho's career.